Hey everybody, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. Wild day in the NASDAQ today with 5% drop, big time bounce. Is it enough? Is the top set? How is crypto trading in response to that? Bitcoin had its daily oversold bounce underway right into NASDAQ weakness. We're going to look at most likely scenarios and what to expect from here for the rest of the week. Learn how to trade stocks, crypto, and hype sectors with a global chat room led by professional traders, as well as daily live streams at chartguys.com. All right, so we know that Bitcoin got really extreme. The daily RSI, some of the most oversold it's ever been, and the daily bounce got underway Sunday night into the market opening on Monday. And with where we stand right now, I have clarity on the 12-hour time frame, because we topped out right at 12-hour EMA 12 resistance, which has been giving the bulls trouble for weeks on the way down, and it still is. And so we can say if the oversold bounce is going to get any follow through in Bitcoin and Ethereum, we have to confirm 12-hour uptrends. And I can also make statements like, if we're going to confirm a 12-hour uptrend, the NASDAQ needs to be finding a temporary low. Because the NASDAQ volatility has been through the roof, but that's to be expected because of how monstrous the move has run up. And Crypto 2017 is where I got good at getting ready for sucker punch drops, just because Bitcoin did that time and time again. It was blue sky breakout, bulls in complete control. Everybody gets too confident long. Everybody gets over leveraged. You flush out that leverage. Things get extreme. Bitcoin drops 30% in the span of 6 hours, and then it V-shaped bounces to higher highs. And your job as a trader back then was to buy the liquidations, buy those extremes. And so bulls are hoping that that is what just happened in the NASDAQ, because we just had a ton of volatility. We had a drop of 6%, again, and that's a lot for the NASDAQ, a bounce of almost 4%, and then another leg down today of 5%, and now a bounce of 3%. That is an extremely unusual amount of volatility. To drop 5.4% and bounce 3.2% in the same day, I mean, you're going to get that once every few years at most. And so, if this holds weekly EMA 12, it's a potential bull flag. So from here, the NASDAQ needs to confirm an hourly uptrend, and then we can say there is a potential of a weekly bull flag in play. And so flushing out a month's worth of longs, over-leveraged, overconfident longs, specifically in the semiconductor space, as semiconductors it's not even that much a pullback, but that's what this needs to be if Bitcoin is going to follow through on its bounce and get a weekly bounce underway back to the upper 60,000 range. So my analysis for Bitcoin is the same that it's been for a long time, which is dependent on the NASDAQ. And we had been saying, Bitcoin is so weak. What happens if the NASDAQ sees inevitable consolidation that we know is going to happen at some point? And it obviously added some, the reason Bitcoin's daily, Michael Saylor is not the reason Bitcoin's daily RSI got down towards historical lows. It's because we were weak, and then the NASDAQ rolled over into its weakness, which just doubled down on Bitcoin weakness as the market went risk off after crypto's been going risk off for months. So that's what we need to see from here. NASDAQ hourly uptrend confirmed into tomorrow, for the possibility of a weekly EMA 12 hold and a weekly bull flag. And if that can happen, Bitcoin can confirm a 12-hour uptrend, and then we would look for the weekly bounce to be shaping up on Bitcoin. As far as I'm concerned right now, this is a double bottom at 60,000. Yes, we broke it, but not convincingly at all. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm bullish crypto or that that's the most likely scenario. I'm just laying out this has to happen for bulls to be able to defend 60,000 successfully. And of course, if, let's go the other side. What do the bears want to see? Well, if the NASDAQ tops out here and doesn't confirm an hourly uptrend, or gives us an hourly equilibrium that then breaks bear, then further weekly consolidation is going to come. And Bitcoin can definitely break 60,000 to fresh lows. So yeah, this isn't what's happening right now. The last 3 trading days in stocks is risk off. You've got things like Quantum, IONQ, went straight up 100 whatever percent. One of the riskiest, high risk, high reward sectors in markets, straight up 180%, and then a drop of 28%. So risk off there, risk off in metals. Silver's been getting crushed. Silver, as part of the 3 days of risk off, has dropped 13% into daily oversold conditions. So it's not specific to Bitcoin. It was specific to Bitcoin for a very long time, a couple of months back there. The last 3 days is market wide. And so bulls are hoping that there's nobody left. Bulls are hoping that everybody in crypto is on one side of the boat, in the sense that, okay, they were already bearish when the NASDAQ was at all-time highs. The NASDAQ got weak. Anybody else that was going to sell or be bearish has done so. We're still defending 60,000, and maybe that's bears getting too confident. And if we can see, a little bit of NASDAQ recovery, or in an ideal world, the melt up continues and a weekly bull flag, maybe some pressure starts to get put on some Bitcoin shorts. But again, I'm just laying out, this is an ideal bull's wet dream, because I can't sit here and say that's the most likely scenario. First step is breaking the bounce high to put a little pressure on some bears, but you need to get over 70,000 if we're going to actually put any kind of meaningful pressure on bears. So, I'm still bearish crypto in the sense that we are in downtrends on a lot of time frames, but I'm still bullish the broader market because we knew weekly consolidation was inevitable. We knew if we held weekly EMA 12, it's a possible bull flag. We know we're scouting a weekly higher low. So I still don't have any red flags, because what's happening in stocks is broadening. It was a few names leading the way, semiconductors, memory, monster bull move. A ton of other sectors were weak, and now there's rotation going on. And it's a broadening of strength. People can call it defensive positioning, call it whatever you want, but the healthcare sector is going straight up while semiconductors and the NASDAQ pull back. The financial sector has been seeing some strength. Consumer staples have been bouncing. So, right now the NASDAQ, or I should say the NYSE, is majority green on the day. And so big picture for stocks, no red flags, and crypto's just hoping that everybody that was going to go bearish has now done so, and that, everybody's on one side of the boat. So got to break the bounce high and get a weekly bounce underway. But long way to go for the bulls to prove anything at this point. They have to start with an hourly uptrend as well. Bitcoin needs an hourly uptrend for a 12-hour higher low to be shaping up. ETH is the same setup. 12-hour, EMA 12 resistance, higher low and higher high is needed. If we get that, we'll zoom out and watch for the possibility that a weekly bounce is getting underway, keeping in mind, again, it's a steep hill for the bulls to climb, because we can go, ETH from here can go 30% and form a weekly lower high. ETH BTC is still a bit, no, we haven't topped out yet. 12-hour sideways at this point. So a little bit of relative strength on Ethereum on this bounce. But this chart as well has a ton of proving to do if there's going to be any kind of meaningful, sustainable strength in ETH, because we've been weaker than Bitcoin pretty consistently for the last 10 months. And that is still the case at the moment. So I don't have a clear, rosy picture, because there's a lot of work that bulls have to do. Crypto stocks, obviously weaker as well. Coin is just hoping to hold these lows. That's one positive that the stocks have, is that they haven't confirmed the monthly bear flag like Bitcoin did. Bitcoin confirmed a monthly bear flag at the moment with no follow through, but coin did not. I mean, all of the, as we've talked about, all of the best performing crypto stocks are no longer crypto stocks. They're data center stocks. CLSK, and we talked about these a couple weeks ago. And again, seeing part of that risk off sell off, but also holding on much better the last couple of days. And again, you look at CLSK, is there any red flag on this weekly chart? Not at this point. Riot, still holding on pretty well, all things considered. MARA, the weakest of the three in my opinion. CRCL, I don't have clarity on it. The weekly chart, bull break, no follow through, now a bear break. We're in a daily downtrend very clearly. I am going to be scouting CRCL for a monthly higher low compared to the all-time low. But I need to have some kind of higher conviction that Bitcoin's putting in some kind of a bottom. If I'm going to have any confidence in CRCL, monthly higher low. So I just know that at some point in the coming month or two, I'm scouting that higher low on CRCL for a potential entry because I missed. You remember I was watching for this bounce and I missed it. So this is a potential second chance. And I will be watching for that. Potentially daily oversold. We know in our strongest moves, daily oversold marks monthly higher lows. It certainly wouldn't be a back burner with the trends on this name, but that is something I'm going to be watching. What's the response to daily oversold? Can that be a spot where I look for an entry to attempt a monthly higher low? Just checking some things here. Grabbed a little IONQ short right before streaming. I'll get to you all in a second. Thanks for clicking like. Ask any questions you want. We'll look at some other tickers. Bears are trying to shape up the hourly lower highs into the close. We're running out of a little bit of time. But we would need to be a 5-minute head and shoulders here, probably, on QQQ. If anything's going to shift, it's been a 5-minute uptrend. Again, it's an impressive bounce. It was over 50% retracement. Financials still look fine. Healthcare looks great. Okay. Reading the chat. I think we're getting there. So, correction. I think it's, if we're going to stay strong, this liquidity, I call it a leverage reset. Leverage reset just meaning everybody gets complacent, everybody buys every dip and expects, the dip to last 2%, not 8% for semiconductors. This is the reset taking place. It's just a question of how aggressive is the dip buying at the bottom of those liquidations. And considering the monster drop twice now, big drop, solid bounce, big drop, that needs to be it. Can't see much more downside than that. I mean, let's just keep it simple. Weekly EMA 12. If we can hold weekly EMA 12, continuation to all-time highs this summer is on the table. What's up, Cheyenne? Glad you could join. Dead cat bounces. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's a dead cat bounce. It's a big enough bounce where you can make a bunch of money or position, or it's also a big enough bounce where a higher low is the most likely scenario. I'm obviously looking for the hourly lower high to be the result of that bounce, hence my attempts at grabbing some bear positions into the close. But they did just shake me out of my SMH. That last leg up got my SMH short, stop out, break even. But yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a dead cat bounce or not when it's these size of bounces, because ideally, if you're playing that bounce, if you don't want to play that bounce, that's fine, because an hourly lower high is the most likely scenario. But if you're going to bounce 6% in an entire sector, worst case scenario, you stop out break even, because you're obviously taking some profit into that move, or at least you should be. MU with a 7% bounce. SNDK with a 9% bounce. It's the kind of day where there is a lot of opportunity in both directions. And now it's just a question, can bears drive it home for the convincing hourly lower high into the close, which is approaching? Thanks, everyone. Thank you. Do I strictly buy Bitcoin, or do I trade? I trade some crypto stocks like CRCL. I have no interest in MSTR personally. I was pretty on point talking about MSTR's premium topping for the cycle back here. And so if MSTR divided by Bitcoin is going down, it means you're better off being in Bitcoin than MSTR. And that has been the case for a few weeks at this point, and for a few months prior to that. But generally, I look either Ethereum or Bitcoin, and I trade the ETFs because I don't feel like paying thousands of dollars in fees. But again, in this market environment, there are so many better bullish setups than crypto. There are stocks that are in monthly, weekly, daily uptrends, and you can be looking to buy a daily high or low, or a weekly. I mean, look at Google. What's the most likely result of this current weekly consolidation? It's a weekly high or low. It's so much easier to trade with the trend versus, I want to play Bitcoin for a weekly bounce when it's just swimming against the current. Trying to long Bitcoin when it's in a downtrend in all these time frames is swimming upstream, versus longing something that's in an uptrend on all time frames, which is swimming downstream. And just as an example, how many, we just looked at all those bounces, 6 to 9%, Bitcoin bounced 2%. Even the strong altcoin bounces probably weren't, here's NEAR. Okay, NEAR is comparable to those semiconductor bounces. So there's probably a handful of altcoins, maybe 3 altcoins, that had percentage bounces comparable to your lead bull stocks. But again, it's just like Bitcoin is not even in the realm of, for the entire healthcare sector to be up as much as Bitcoin bounced. Not quite. Never mind. But you get the point. There's just, it's, I do these live streams every week and I just repeat myself so much. And it's not like a novel idea. I don't want it to sound like I'm just now saying that there are better things to be trading than Bitcoin and crypto, because we've been saying it for months and months and months and months. And eventually that will change. Eventually crypto will be one of the better things to be trading as a bull. But I'm perfectly willing to wait for the shift. It's just like, it's comparable to not trying to nail the bottom counter trend is comparable to like when I bought my first smartphone, I was not an early adopter. I waited till the world determined who are the best companies, what are the best phones. I waited until the features, the kinks were worked out and the features improved and you got new, better apps. And, I was a few years in before I got my first smartphone, because I let time pass to sort out all the BS. And it's the same thing when you're looking for a longer term bottom or a longer term reversal. You shouldn't be trying to nail the bottom. I'll make an attempt when we are at historical extremes, because bounce trades are one of my edges. But I've said it 100 million times. You don't have, if it's a long-term bottom, you can be 20, 30% off the lows and it's still very worthwhile. It is much better and easier when the wind The current is at your back. And you enter and you're profitable right away versus entering and now you're a bag holder and now you're trying to maneuver, playing counter trend, and you're down 5% and you try and buy a little more to sell on the next 4-hour bounce. It's just psychologically so much easier. And again, I'm speaking as a trader, not as an investor, not as someone DCAing long-term positions. There is interest in the potential that we can hold 60,000, but the NASDAQ needs to be setting a weekly higher low for us to have confidence that Bitcoin can hold 60,000. Do I think now would be a good time to add Bitcoin to a no-touch position? For sure. I mean, dollar cost average into fear. Absolutely. That's investing 101. Don't buy everything right now, but a position, a chunk, absolutely. Especially when daily RSI is in the teens. That's an automatic. We no longer are in the teens. We were a few days ago. IONQ is it's a leveraged version of the NASDAQ. If the NASDAQ's going up 1%, IONQ is going up 3%. If it's dropping 1%, it's dropping 3%. So it's going to track the NASDAQ. It's just going to be doing it larger moves. What's up, Marshall? Good to see you. Mitch Ray. I don't know Mitch Ray. I'll have to check him. Is it annoying for you that you have to use settled cash instead of... That's not the case. You can use margin for ETFs. I just did a couple days ago. Yep, cannabis has had some good volatility. I was playing some bounces there in TCNNF today. I don't have any strategy for TrueLeave uplisting. I'm just trading the charts and the trends. So a daily high or low is the most likely scenario. We currently have a bounce underway. An hourly lower high is the most likely result of that bounce. I'll be interested in playing hourly oversold for the next bounce from here. Tomorrow's not some kind of... I know everybody's treating it as, oh my God, but I don't treat it that way at all. It's just a normal day tomorrow with some more volume and some better liquidity. CCUSD. So we got our clear resistance zone constantly rejecting from the upper 16s to 17. Definitely don't love the liquidity, but I'd be watching for a 12-hour lower high. Need to confirm an hourly downtrend for that to be shaping up. And if we set a 12-hour lower high, we're going to view this as an equilibrium. Higher low, lower high. So if bears confirm an hourly downtrend, it's then going to be all about 15-1 support to try and remain within a 12-hour equilibrium. So burdens on bears in the short term, they're playing defense, but if they're going to follow through with that rejection, we got to confirm the hourly downtrend. So very clear resistance battle. And bears aren't comfy with the rejection just yet. Got to break 16. ADA, yeah, shorting crypto. I mean, my shorting crypto as a hedge, I talked about that a few weeks ago. If you're long the NASDAQ, shorting Bitcoin was a great hedge for a long time. ADA, oh, it's so gross. This is definitely one of the weakest altcoins. Oh, man. Yeah, we're just in a downtrend on every single time frame. Well, every single meaningful time frame. And we're going to be scouting a daily lower high to be the result of this bounce. But again, the thing I keep saying is 99.99% of these things are going to zero and blah, blah, blah. And so I guess ADA does have a bunch of previous support in the single digits. But from the 21 top, this is as ugly a chart as you can find. We're in a yearly downtrend, 6-month downtrend, 3-month downtrend, monthly downtrend, weekly downtrend, daily downtrend. And again, I've done this many times, but I can just pull up the penny stocks I used to trade 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and this is just what they do. They just have little spikes on the way to zero. And so what is the confidence that we have that XYZ altcoin, whatever it's going to be, isn't just doing that? You would likely need to see increased supply. Penny stocks go to zero because of dilution and the shares keep increasing. So I don't know the individual fundamentals of ADA, whether there's an unlock schedule, whether there's a fixed supply. But again, it's just as ugly, it's just as bearish a chart as you can get when you're in a downtrend on every single time frame like that. What's up, Ramses? I am hoping the broader market puts in a blow off top this year, and I will have tons of cash to look for long-term dividend positions in a 30 to 50% drawdown that I will DCA into and hold long-term and have cost of living covered. Thanks, Tosh. Not a grifter. Someone just asked if we would take advertising money just yesterday. Nope, we don't do that. People are kind of shocked when they ask, can they pay us for us to do this? And you just no. It's just made life so much easier. For the last 8 years, 9 years, just no. Just the answer to everything. Makes life so much more simple. I've got a frog army. It's raining right now. There are 200 frogs on the patio right now. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. We got to do a quick frog break. Oh, I don't think this is going to be able to stretch. Nope. Nope. I'll take phone video. There's 200 frogs right there, marching in a line. NASDAQ has to confirm an hourly uptrend. And then from there, it's just one time frame at a time. If we confirm an hourly uptrend, we zoom out to the 4-hour. And then I'd be watching, can the bulls shape up a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders? And if that happens, then the potential of a weekly bull flag is on the table. But it has to start with a confirmed hourly uptrend. I have no idea. So this is, again, me being able to admit that I have no idea, because so many influencers or whatever pretend that they have an idea. Nobody knows what SpaceX is going to do on day one. And anybody that talks like they are confident or that they know, it's just a facade. They're just putting on a character, or they're dumb and actually believe that they know. Anyways, SpaceX is going to drive sector peers, at least to start. Everything's going to correlate to what SpaceX is doing. Is it going up the first few days? Space names are going to go up, very likely, and vice versa. But what's it going to do? I have absolutely no idea. How is Trulieve going to trade on its first day being listed on the NYSE? I have absolutely no idea. And the reason I can make money in markets is because I don't try and predict things that I have no idea on, because that's not my edge and that's not how you make money. It's reacting to the information in front of me. I react to the price. I react to the levels. I react to the volume and what things are doing. And that's why, anybody that criticizes technical analysis, oh, you can't predict a crystal ball, tarot cards, astrology for men. Like, no, you don't understand how to use the tool. Nobody should be predicting things with technical analysis. You can determine probabilities. You could say, I think this is the most likely scenario. But in the end, you want to be reacting to the new information that you're getting on a minute by minute or day by day or week by week basis, depending on what time frame you care about. Let's Amy. Did Litecoin break long-term structure? 40.32. It's barely clinging on to 40. I would say the bear break is 22, but got to hold 40. I mean, again, it's just, we're down what, 90% from all-time highs? We're in downtrends on the 3-month time frame, the monthly time frame, the weekly, the daily. I mean, 40 is the line in the sand right now because you lose 40 and there's not much to 22. So this is bulls attempting to defend 40, just like Bitcoin's attempting to defend 60,000. I don't see the NASDAQ move as distribution because I see the money going elsewhere. As I just mentioned, all the other sectors where money is going. Again, the majority of the NYSE is green today. 1,688 green stocks and 1,091 red stocks. 60% to 38.5%. So the majority of the market is green today, while the NASDAQ is down 1.7%. That to me is rotation. Okay. I just have some standard blue Yeti mic. I'm interested in a Google weekly high or low. We just swept a base of support with no follow through. If Google can confirm an hourly uptrend from here, I'm interested. Weekly EMA 12. Can that hold for the high or low? I think we just filled a gap today. 355 gap. No, not quite. But I'm patient. I'm not ready to take my shot yet. Many altcoins are in a downtrend on the yearly for sure. Hood's choppy. I would just draw some trenches. This is the weekly chart. There's our resistance. There's our support zone. We are smack dab in the middle. So I've got no clarity. That's the other part about being a trader. Not only do you have to admit when you don't know something, when you look at a chart, I can pull up 10 charts now where I have high conviction in what is the most likely scenario. For Hood, I don't have it. So I just draw the support zone, the resistance zone, and I wait for one of them to break because that's going to give me the next information that I need. Because if you're smack dab in the middle of a range that's held multiple times in both directions, I've got no edge, no conviction in what we're looking to do from here. We're $10 off support and we're $10 below resistance. Hype. It's a potential daily head and shoulders. Didn't ZEC just have a brutal one of those? I know there was all that fundamental stuff going on. But this was ZEC. Speaking of which, ZEC bears are keeping an eye out for a daily lower high after that size of a bounce. Hourly rising wedge just broke bear. Hype is a potential head and shoulders. Daily lower high is now set, so 65.77 is the most important resistance, and the base of support is down in the 55s. So the big question from here is, do we confirm the daily downtrend and break that bear, or does it hold? If it breaks bear, we look to weekly EMA 12, which will be low 50s next week. And if we hold it, that would be impressive from the bulls. But that is the line in the sand level. I mean, we can even expand it just a little bit to get that support in there. And that would then make 3 periods of consolidation and holds of the zone from 54 to 56. We're at all-time highs. I haven't even thought of the word dividend stock. I'll start thinking when the market's 20% off all-time highs. Useless is also potential daily head and shoulders. If we drop down and break 614, that's a daily downtrend confirming, and we then look down to 5.3 as the next level after that. And the question is, and this is why it's so hard to be a bull when you counter all these trends, because you confirm a daily trend change. Great. Now you're looking for a weekly lower high. You confirm a weekly trend change. Great. Now you're looking for a monthly lower high. Useless, a monthly lower high is the most likely result of the current bounce that we're in, because there's all the space in the world for a monthly lower high to be set. And so we are potentially shaping up a monthly lower high. Bulls gotta hold 614 to try and fend off confirming daily downtrend. When's the last time we confirmed a daily downtrend? It's been 5 weeks. And that's potentially on the table in the short term. All right, so if Doge is printing new coins, wouldn't the market cap chart go up? The market cap chart is going to be reflective over total supply of coins times price. So it is going to be constantly changing with the price, and it's just the other input that is changing. So if price stays the same, and coins increase, the market cap goes up. So what generally will happen is as coins increase, the price will go down to offset that and have the market cap stay roughly the same. Wow, Marshall, that's great to hear. How's that for motivation, everybody? Marshall can't see, and he trades. What's your excuse? Thanks, Alana. Near. What did you give me, Michael? NOK 50? I don't even know what that is, but thanks. Near. So it did have a nice bounce, percentage-wise. All right, so we're looking for a weekly high or low. We haven't confirmed a daily downtrend yet. Bulls want to see 50% plus retracement on this bounce because as is, it's a potential daily bear flag. And so if bulls can get another leg up to try and negate the bear flag, essentially we can say bulls need to regain the daily uptrend to set the weekly high or low. If they bounce 50% plus retracement, they create the space for the daily high or low. And once we top out, and then they can try and confirm the uptrend from there. If we don't get to 50% plus bounce retracement, next daily consolidation can drop to a lower low. So it's a nice bounce at this point, and we do have relative strength to Bitcoin. So if I'm a near bull, I'm really hoping Bitcoin can shape up a 12-hour uptrend. Because I could say near bulls are positioned well, where if Bitcoin confirms a 12-hour uptrend from here, near then gets that move to get up towards 50% retracement, which creates the space for the daily higher low to try and form next consolidation. But the resistance is extremely clear. And we talked about this recently as well. I mean, this is a wall that you can see from space. Anybody that is trading this name is watching this zone because we have rejected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times in the last 15 months. If I'm a bear, that's it. I don't have anything to worry about if that's resistance. If you break that, that's a signal for longs and that's a signal for bears to get out. So that is the line in the sand. It's, bulls are liking that they're seeing the first bullish EMA 12 and 26 cross here in a long time. That's a good sign. We're trying to put in a longer term bottom. And we also talked about if we reject here, the bulls will have to pull off a monthly inverse head and shoulders if they're going to be able to shift. So that's the long-term outlook. For now, bulls are hoping to set a weekly high or low and try again at resistance. But if we fail this resistance, and if we bounce a bit and then roll over to a lower low into July, then it's got to happen on the monthly. It's got to happen on the longer-term time frames. But that is a very, very clear resistance level. Norwegian. All right, I got to go to Norway to spend it. Thanks. I don't do targets based on patterns in terms of measured moves. I just use trends. I take some profit and then I leave a runner and I'll hold it as long as we're in an uptrend on X time frame. I need to see what's going on here into the close. All right, I gotta wrap it up here. We'll look at XRP, last one. Daily lower high already set. Same as Bitcoin in terms of needing the 12-hour uptrend. This is one of the weaker altcoins out there over the last couple of months. We've just been constantly rejecting from weekly EMA 12. We've just been setting lower highs on the weekly bounce attempts. There's one fake out in there. We're just giving back the majority of the move. So monthly, weekly, daily downtrend. Yeah, I mean, it's ugly. The only hope for bulls is a falling wedge, but I can't have high conviction in a falling wedge that is counter trend. You know, I like a daily falling wedge when a monthly higher low is the most likely scenario. But we don't have a most likely scenario that's a higher low on, I mean, maybe a 3-month, even then, like a 6-month higher low. But I just stick with the trends. Make the bulls prove it. Turn weekly EMA 12 into support and hold it as support. That would be meaningful. Because it's just constantly rejected the price. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 separate times in the last 8 months. So just keep it simple. If weekly EMA 12 is resistance, the XRP bulls are not proving anything. If we get over it, that's the first sign that something longer term may be shifting. I have a bunch of names that I track. Every morning I sit down and check in on the market. I check in on the sectors and the individual names and get ready for the day. All right, I appreciate you all watching. Have a good rest of your day. Again, quick summary. So NASDAQ bulls need to confirm an hourly uptrend from here for us to start watching for the possibility of the weekly bull flag. Because again, if we can confirm, just step by step, if we confirm an hourly uptrend, we're going to zoom out of the 4-hour and we're going to be scouting a 4-hour inverse head and shoulders. If that happens, if bulls can prove a couple trends in their favor on the NASDAQ, then Bitcoin's going to be setting up the 12-hour higher low most likely. And if we confirm the 12-hour uptrend on Bitcoin, we'll then be watching for the weekly bounce to be shaping up, keeping in mind we can bounce massively and just be forming a weekly lower high. But what the goal for the bulls is from here is to prove you want to start making the bears question things and say, well, we're struggling to break 60,000. That seems like a pretty solid support. So we need to bounce a good bit off of it. We're trying to hold all this price action from back here. Burden on bulls, need NASDAQ help, but solid NASDAQ bounce, all things considered. It was ugly. 3 hours ago, it was free fall ugly. And we did have a nice bounce from there. All right, do good things. Thanks again.